Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day of video editing with Scott Halford. You are probably here because you're part of the Weber State University class on video editing. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to be using footage from a corporate shoot that I did, so this is definitely not something that you should post to your personal accounts or anything like that. I've got some permission to use this footage, but you can show it to people, but don't be posting it on your YouTube account or anything like that, like I'm doing. Anyway, so we have some footage in the assets. On your calendar, there's a link to a zip file called Multicam Assets. Today's lesson is going to be on setting up a multicam editing project for Premiere Pro. Inside the multicam assets, when you open up the zip folder, there will be 4 MP4 files. And these files are all shot in what's called a log gamma for color correcting. And I didn't do any color correcting whatsoever. So this lesson is going to cover setting up and editing in multicam. Doing some audio correcting because we shot this with one person's audio being recorded in one channel and the other person's audio being recorded in the other channel, and you need to make sure that they both sound like they were shot in the same scene together, coming out of both ears. We're going to be doing some color correcting, and then we're going so multicam, some audio channel correction and color correction for this lesson. All right, and this is one that you're probably going to need to send me the Premiere project file so I can verify that you did everything. All right, so multicam assets. So let's do our best practices like always. Let's go to our drive where we're keeping our class folder. Go to Web 2300. I have that master set that I made with all these different assets and everything available. So I am going to duplicate that. So the master set, drag this down, hold down Option, release. Select that and call this multicam project. All right, cool. And I'm going to take these 4 MP4s. These are probably in your downloads folder at this point. I'm going to copy them and I'm going to paste them into the footage. Now, the reason why you're able to send me the Premiere project file for this lesson is because I have these 4 video files, and these are the only assets that are going to be used for making this project. And this will be pretty much, one of the few times in this class where, just do exactly what I do and you'll get full credit. All right, so let's open up Premiere. Go over to Premiere here and select New Project on your opening window. I'm just going to call this Multicam Project. Then browse my computer. Here's a little secret for Macintosh. Since I've already got a Finder window open over here, I can just go to Working, Premiere, drag that into that Save As dialog box, and save it right there. And that's all you need to do for setting up the new project. So click OK. And now we need to import those video files into our project. So I'm going to use the Command I option. And then I'm going to go to my external drive, not my downloads folder, but my external drive, Web 2300, Multicam Project, Assets, Footage. Now, an easier way to do this again would be to go over to Finders. Since I've already got this folder open, I could have just drag and dropped these into the project panel. But there's different ways to do it. So you pick your favorite, the way you're fastest, and do it fast every time. All right, so let's take a look at this footage. I'm going to double click on this first clip and push play. Okay, so we have this guy standing here. He's clicking the board, and then we have the scene. And
all right, how's the IV?
If you listen to her, she's coming out of the right channel. And I think I might actually have these backward.
Do that again.
Anyway, she does a little mess up. So let's click on the next shot. This is with this A037 and A038. That's one camera. This B140 and B141, that's the other camera. Okay. So because these were shot in numerical order, so we have this here, and usually the name of this file should correlate to the name or the slate that's on here. But if we double click on this, we can see at the beginning that this is roll 3, scene 1, take 3. Okay. And then this is roll 3, scene 1, close up for this camera. Then for B camera, we have roll 3, scene 1, take 3. And then roll 3, take scene 1, take close up. All right. So what that means is we can rename this to be reflective of those A underscore 1, underscore 1 underscore 3, and then, or just, you know, A CU. Rename this one B underscore 1 underscore 3, and then B close up. Okay, so that way we know that this ACU and BCU belong together, and this A13 and B13. Now that doesn't change, you know, if I right click on this and say reveal in Finder, it didn't change the name of the file on my computer. Okay, this is just for organizing it in Premiere and keeping it organized here. You could rename them in Finder. You don't have to, but you can if you want. All right, so let's start setting up a multi-camera sequence. The way you do that, there are a couple of different ways. The first way is on this clip. Let's start with the close-up shot and push play, and we've got this clipboard right here. He clicks it right there. And the reason why you do that is because visually you want to sync up the pop in the audio that happens when that clicks with the click of the visual click of the clipboard right there. Because sometimes you might be recording audio separate from video, and that's how you deal with that, is you use these to sync them together. So because I'm going to go right to the frame where that happens, and I'm going to hit I. Okay, so that sets an endpoint for that one. Now go to camera B, close up, and then find that same click. Okay, bam, right there, and hit I. Now, take a look at this. These audio, the click is happening right there, but that clipboard isn't clicked yet, which means there's a sound syncing issue with this shot. But because visually we can see that happening right there, that's where I'm going to hit my in point, and then we can correct the audio timing later. So let's select the A and the B, and then let's right click on those and create a new multi-camera sequence. Okay, and you can have as like many cameras and do this same thing. We're just doing it with 2 today. So let's select create multi-camera sequence, and because we set these endpoints on these clipboards being clicked, let's select endpoints as our synchronization point. Okay, so these 2 shots are going to be synced up based on this endpoint on both cameras. And that's all you have to do for that. This move source clips to process clips bin. we can put that on, and then I'll say, if we had hundreds of these clips and we were trying to sync them up together, it would move them into a bin where they've all been put into a multicam project, which can be handy if you have a lot of, many cameras and different shots, that it'll keep it organized for you. So I'm just going to call this one, let's do this one close up shot. All right, and click OK. Now you see we have a new bin down here in processed clips. That's the 2 close-up shots that we just used. And we have this icon, which is different than your sequence. It looks really similar to a sequence, but this is a multi-camera shot now. This is a timeline that you can go in and edit, but this is now a clip that you can, if you were to drag this into the timeline, it would create a new sequence based on close-up shots. See, now there's a new sequence. So this is essentially just a clip now, this close-up shot. You can open it in the timeline, which we're going to do right now. Right-click on it and say Open in Timeline. And here we have just track 1 and track 2. And what that means is track 2 is camera 2, track 1 is camera 1. All right. So when you do see this as one clip in a timeline, you'll be able to see both cameras here, even though it'll just be one clip. So it'll make sense here in just a second. So let's sync up the next 2 clips in a different way. Let's do these using audio. Let's just make sure the audio is synced on this second shot, because it might not be, because we might have to correct for it. Okay, so that happened with it. And then, okay, that's off still, but I'm going to show you what happens. All right, I would do this visually again. I would tell you to do it visually again, but let's assume the audio was synced up. If we click on both of these and right-click, create multi-camera source sequence. See, I didn't set any endpoints or anything. They're very different timing as far as the endpoints go. I'm going to call this shot 3. Oh man, my head here. All right, and instead of endpoints, we're going to use sound, or not audio. We're going to use audio to sync these 2 clips up, and then click OK. Now what happens, let's right click on this shot 3 and open in timeline. You can see in the timeline, these 2 clips are not starting at the same point. They're starting at different points, and that's because Premiere analyzed the sound and found all these peaks and valleys and synced the clips up to those peaks and valleys. Now the problem is this clip. If you look here, this clip, the click happens, and then 3 frames later, that's when the clipboard actually clicks down. So this is where you would need to either manually unlink the audio and the video for B, and then you would shift this back till that click happened on that frame. Okay, so now that's happening at the same time. Okay, so I would say that we actually have the same problem in the other one, in the close-up shot. If you right-click on the close-up shot, open in timeline, then you have a similar issue where the video is synced up on the endpoint, but the audio is off. Okay, so let's look at this over here. The audio is off. We have talking happening. Sorry, I'm going in and out here. Where you would need to right-click or select this, unlink it. And I personally like adjusting the audio and instead of the video because of that nice trick that we learned earlier on for if you click on this little menu button right here, you can go to show audio time units and you can move this in minute detail to get this little peak right here to line up. You know, then you can go back and you can make sure that that pop happens at identically the same place. Okay. And you can relink those again or not. It doesn't really matter because we are going to be using we are going to be editing this together on the multi-camera timeline. What this mute means is right now all of the audio for this clip is being pulled from camera 1. All right. If you were to switch this, it would switch to being using all of the audio from camera 2. Here's a little note about audio. This is one track of audio. This is one track of audio. But in this track of audio, you see these waves, and then you see these waves. Well, this is your left channel, and this is your right channel. Down here, you just see one set of waves on the top and nothing on the bottom half. That means that channel 1 recorded audio, but channel 2 did not, which means if you play this now, you're only going to hear something out of the left channel.
How's the IV?
Okay.
Let's see how that dressing looks.
So that's only coming out of the left channel. Now you can, if you want to, you can right click on this and you can go to audio channels and you can tell it, instead of going left and right, let's use the left for both. So the left source goes into left and right. Now if I click OK, bam, that comes out both channels now. Okay.
All right, how's the IV? Let's see how that dressing looks.
But if you listen to that, you get a little bit more of the room.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
Like you hear the echoing and stuff. That is actually the microphone that's pointed at my mouth right now. It's a shotgun microphone that was over both of their heads. In this take, let's unmute this one, mute this one. In this one, I'm going to turn this up just a little bit so you can hear it better. They're body microphones, and there's a different quality to the audio.
All right, how's the IV? Let's see how that dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
Okay, so it really depends on what your preference is. For the sake of today's lesson, we are going to use the audio from camera 1, the body microphones. In the real life application, I actually used the shotgun microphone because overall the shotgun microphone produced cleaner audio, and they didn't really have the time for me to go in and clean up and switch audio back and forth from different sources, but depending on audio quality to make it all sound the same. So we just went with the shotgun microphone for the whole shoot. All right, let's start our main edit. Let's right click on either one of these or create a new sequence. Let's just do this from fresh. New sequence. And actually, it doesn't really matter any of this stuff because once we put our first clip on there, it's going to ask us anyway. Multicam edit. Click OK. All right, let's put, if I double click on this, in the source monitor, it shows me both angles. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I want to make sure that I use the wide shot of her first. So that's shot 3. So I'm going to double click on this, go up here, scan along, and then find the endpoint after action. All right, so it's about right there. So I'm going to hit in, and I'm going to drop this down onto the timeline. Track 1. Now, this is why I said it doesn't matter what those settings are, because Premiere's smart enough that if you put a clip on the first clip on the timeline, if it's different than what the settings are, you can just change the sequence settings to match. Super sweet. All right. So now we have this action, but we want to be able to like cut, but we want to see both of these angles, right? Like, so we can cut between the two. So I'm going to just shift this over this way. And if you don't see this icon right here, go over to this plus, which is the button editor, and you can see the icon right there. All you have to do is drag that down into this tray and it'll be there. Okay, that's the toggle multi-camera. You can also, if you want to just memorize it, you don't actually need to use it. It's just Shift plus 0. So let's try that. Shift plus 0. That didn't work. There we go. Pardon me. All right, so now we see both the shots right here. If we push play, we can see them both right next to each other.
Nope, I'm gonna do that again.
Okay, so she messes up actually. So let's find where she regains her composure and gets ready to come over. Let's go back just a little bit. Hit C for cut. Cut that. V. Select this first clip. Delete. And then delete that blank space. All right. If you see here at the end, the second shot went away. That's because that camera cut earlier than camera A. So don't panic if you see that go black. All right. Let's push play and check this out. As I'm playing this back,
All right, how's the IV?
if I click on that, that goes red.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good.
Then I can click back. Then I can come back. Back. Okay, so every time I cut, look what that does. When I hit space bar again, it put a cut on every single one of those. Okay, so it just switched back and forth. Watch it play back.
Looks like it's curling up here a bit.
Okay, maybe not what we'd actually want to do, but that all of that from when I push play, made all those cuts, and then push stop, that was one action. So if I hit Command Z, all of that goes away and I can try again. So what if we wanted to do this one at a time?
How's the IV? Let's see how the dressing looks.
If I click on this, it changes this entire shot to camera B instead of camera A. All right. So maybe what I could do is cut this and then switch it, right? Or what I could do is hold down Command and click on the other shot, and it only cuts that video. See, check out, the audio is still down there. Let me make these bigger for you. Okay, so if I actually physically with the blade tool cut that, it'll cut the audio and the video, which could be preferable, I don't know. But if I hold down Command and click on the alternate angle up here, then it will switch just the video. And then if I made a mistake, then I can trim this back or roll edit it by holding down Command, and I can just roll this back and I can find a new place for that cut to happen if I made a mistake. So let's do this. Let's try to do this for real. I'm going to go hit home on my keyboard, go back to the beginning, and I'm going to push play. I'm going to try and go back and forth as I would really want to watch this.
All right, how's the IV? Let's see how the dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
All right, great. And that's about where we can end the scene. So I'm going to cut that. Go back here. All right. Let's say, oops. Let's cut this too. All right, let's go back to the beginning. Let's say I don't really like this first cut.
Let's see how the dressing looks.
I went back to him a little bit fast. I'd probably rather go right before he starts to talk rather than that early.
IV. Let's see how the dressing looks.
Okay, so let's hold down Command and then go pull it back this way till right before he starts to talk. And you can see where he's talking because this is where he goes, okay?
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit.
All right. Now let's go and put our close-up shot on the timeline over here. Let's move it over here. Okay. Let's trim this to right before she starts talking because that's where the performance starts. And let's take a look at this one.
All right, how's the IV? Let's see how that dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
So he gives an okay. I like her. I like that she kind of dips down into the shot a little bit right here. Here. This one's good for the arm. So let's start. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's cut this together like we'd want to watch
All right,
it.
how's the IV? Let's see how that dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
All right. Let's cut this here. Select these two. Delete. All right. So now, what I want to do is have this wide shot for sure.
All right, how's the IV? Let's see how the dressing looks.
And let's zoom in. And right there, I want to be able
Let's
to
see
go
how
to
that
him.
dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
Okay. So let's cut this audio and move this shot from here over here. All right, and see how that looks. So we've got two multi-camera clips now that we're cutting together to one performance.
Let's see how the dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit.
Okay, so now at curling up here a bit, we want to go back to this shot right here,
It's curling up here a bit.
right after that. Let's hold down shift, get those. And now we could probably get rid of,
Up here a bit.
just delete all this stuff.
Curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's okay for now.
And then, actually, I deleted too much. I want to get her coming back here and say,
Good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's
oh, just kidding. I did it right. Redo, redo, redo. And then come back to this.
all right. How's the IV? Let's see.
Where did that other bit go? I got to get it back.
It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see. I think it's okay for now.
All right. Yeah, because I like that little reaction. I think it's okay for now. She gives him a look, and then he says, okay. So I'm sorry, guys. I keep trying to use a different program's keyboard shortcuts. All right, so let's go here.
I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
And then she goes back to the computer where we will use the wide shot. Cut those. Select these. Delete that. And now we need this to come in right here. So she says,
I think it's okay for now.
I think it's okay for now, but she needs to give it a look first.
It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see.
After that, I like that. So C for cut, hold down shift, get through both of them. V for selection tool, select all these clips that we don't need, delete those, delete this blank space.
I think it's okay for now.
Okay.
And then now let's go back to shot 3 and just grab the part where she walks away. because I deleted it from the timeline. And now, again, you got to think about the action. Hit O for out. You got to think about the action because she's actually in this shot. You want to make sure that the momentum of her leaving this shot connects to the next shot. Which that was pretty good.
Okay.
All right. So do your best to do a little multi-camera editing and then puzzle piecing it together right here. Next up, we got to do something about this audio. And rather than doing anything about it in their sub timelines, now you could go into each one of these and do all of this work that I'm about to do in the audio, but since we're not using the entire take, we don't need to comb through the entire take and sweeten and like fix the audio here. We can just do that in our edit. Okay. So what we need to do is create a duplicate of all this audio so that we can say these clips play her microphone and then all the duplicate clips play his microphone. Okay. So that's probably a good thing that we edited all this onto track 1. There could be a pretty good opportunity for some J cuts and L cuts in here, but I'm pretty much okay with this the way it is. So I'm going to hold down Option or Alt and select all these audio clips. Then while holding down Alt still, I'm going to click and drag them down to the next track and release my mouse first before releasing Alt, and that'll create a duplicate of all of those audio clips. Okay. Now I need to select all of the audio clips from audio 1, track 1, and right click on them and select audio channels. And now, just like I was kind of saying before, we want to like everything that's going in from channel 1, we want to play out of both left and right for audio track 1. And that'll make her microphone play out of all of those. Now we need to go, actually, or his, or I can't remember. But if we go to...
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good.
Yeah, his is playing out of the left, hers is playing out of the right. So now we need to go to all of these clips on track 2, right click, go to audio channels, and make them both play out of track. Both source 2 coming out left and right. Okay, so on track 1, make both of them 1 1, and on track 2, make both of these 2 2. Click OK. And now we can see their audio waveforms are now kind of matching up. And the best way to do this is, the reason why you're still seeing some sound here is because they're close enough to each other that as she speaks here, his body microphone picks up her voice. As he speaks here, her body microphone picks up his voice. But the best audio quality for her is her microphone. The best audio quality for him is his microphone. So this is kind of a tedious thing, but what you want to do is go to the audio envelopes. This is his, this is her talking, but this is his microphone. So everywhere he speaks, you want to go through and turn the volume up for him, but down for when she speaks, and vice versa. When she talks, you want to hear her, and when he's talking, you want to turn him down. Okay, so this one, track 1 is down, and then it goes up for him, down for her. And then he gives a line here.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good.
Okay, so hasn't really been bugging me up for him. Turn it down for her. And then turn hers up for that line. Okay, so you're crisscrossing between the two. So let's listen to this.
Let's see how the dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good.
All right, so he gives an but this is like a different, this is where that cut between the two shots happened. So it might be a good idea to roll his audio on his Actually, that's not good, because then he's starting to talk. See, now this is going to be bad. Watch this.
The dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
Okay, so we can either, cut this back so that the pacing is more similar, or we just maybe get a little bit more of this audio. Holding down Alt to get just that audio. And then again, to really soften this even more, we can add a really, really small Command Shift D and then shrink this audio transition way down to like soften that just a little bit more.
See how the dressing looks.
Hasn't really been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit. Let's see.
So turn her down for that that clip,
I think it's okay for now.
but then turn him back up here because he gives us a little okay.
Okay.
And now I'm going to turn her down for this one because
Okay.
when she walks away, she like rustles a whole bunch. All right, so that sounds pretty good. Now, now what you could do is take this entire sequence and put it on another clip, make a new sequence from this one, and then do your audio sweetening, like your compressors and all that stuff to even them out. I'm gonna go ahead and undo that though, and or you could add more audio, because if you take a look at the way she's talking here, look at where she's bouncing over here.
All right, how's the IV?
So she's bouncing up to -9.
Let's see how the dressing looks.
But then she goes down to like -24. So some compression would be beneficial, but the thing about compression is it can also increase the background volume. So you got to be careful with it, because then you might need to do some noise reduction. But we're not that far into audio yet. This is just to get these two to sound
Hasn't
the
really
same.
been bugging me.
That's good. It looks like it's curling up here a bit.
All right. That makes me happy. Cool.